Welcome back, everyone, once again to the LJL Week 7 English broadcast with your host, commentator, analyst, and dear friend, Dr. No. Good to be seeing you all once again as we're coming hot off of Sengoku taking the game over V3 Esports in a fairly convincing fashion, and it was sort of an interesting game as Sengoku coming into this week has come out quite strong, it seems, with a win over CGA yesterday and a win over V3 today. Those are the only two teams above them currently in the standings. So Sengoku will be securing second place for themselves over CGA, which is quite good to hear. Meanwhile, we have V3 Esports dropping that game, and I think that is somewhat of a potential sign of, are we looking at V3 Esports struggling a little bit towards the end of this split? This is going to be their second game dropped during the regular split, dropping one game earlier to CGA, leaving themselves 1-1 with CGA and with Sengoku Gaming. So overall, not a bad position, and I don't want to call this one to be too indicative of the way that V3 Esports normally would posture themselves. We did have Ace on a carry role, which we know him to somewhat be susceptible to not having all-star standout performances when he is in a carry role, unless he is on certain champions. He's a little bit more prone to playing things like Galio and playing a little bit more in support of Boogie, and V3 Esports kind of had a comp that had a lot of carries to it, and they weren't quite able to get the play off that they needed to. What it really felt like when we were watching that last game was your supporting members to your top jungle and mid all being carries, where your Ashe was your Ashe in the bot lane and a Tahm Kench, which Tahm Kench can't really support the rest of the team from down there, while on the other end, it looks like the exact same thing for excuse me, I'm sorry, I can't with the LJL casters, but having a bit of fun here as always. That being said, I think what happened for V3 Esports in the last game was having your supporting members just being a little bit too far away from your carries to really make that kind of a comp work for V3 Esports. But I do think that idea lends itself to this match being a very interesting one, and I'm very happy to see this as our showcase match for the week. V3 Esports versus Burning Core, as they're both teams that, when you're talking about their comps and their lineups, the way they posture their mid-jungle 2v2s is very, very similar. Although Eugeo is a rookie, he postures very similarly on playing supportive role mid laners. Galio, Karma, Lulu, things of that nature. And while he did have a win on LeBlanc earlier in the split, I believe it was in their game versus Rascal Jester, he has somewhat low damage overall when you're talking about him compared to some other mid laners. And this is exactly, actually, what a perfect infographic to really be displaying here, is Eugeo, when you're looking at his KDA and his DPM, Boogie having higher DPM and KDA really lends itself to the junglers are the carries in these scenarios. Once has postured himself as an outstanding jungle carry with a super deep champion pool, being able to pilot Echo, Trundle, all sorts of different picks to very high success rates, while also not exactly having weak lanes anywhere else. It's a good sign that your mid laners are able to play supportive roles effectively. But if V3 Esports are trying to grow Ace as a carry in the mid lane, I'm curious to see if Burning Core are going to look to do the same. Now, These games are a bit more important for Burning Core than they are for V3 Esports. Like we mentioned, V3 Esports currently has the first place seed locked in for themselves. They cannot be dethroned any longer. They are there to stay. Followed by Sengoku in second place, and CGA will be in third. So those three are locked in and set for now. The possibility for Burning Core, however, is they need to pass up DFM, who did go 2-0 yesterday, which would leave them at 7-7. So they need a win to tie with them or 2 wins to beat them out. And they will secure a 4th place position for themselves, but then they also have Hawks Gaming that'll be nipping at their heels. All of that being said, though, V3 Esports versus Burning Core are going to be starting the draft right along here, as Bard and Zoe both going to be banned away right off the bat. Lightning round of bans, as Graves is soon to follow right there. And I'm very curious to see if V3 Esports has a response to Kha'Zix, or if they'll be showing it priority. As Burning Core was the team that kind of helped bring Kha'Zix back into the meta after his most recent buffs on this patch. He did get the 20% isolation bonus damage, and they were able to pilot it to decent success. So I'm curious to see if V3 Esports are looking to kind of pull a similar style out of this one as in their last game, or if they're just going to try to return to their tried and true method. And the one thing I'm looking at immediately is no Galio ban being thrown out just yet. As an Ash ban hits the table, there's a lot of priority picks still on the table, Set being one of them. And V3 Esports going to be happy to grab that one up for themselves. While Burning Core has Galio if they want to pass that one over to Yu-Gi-Oh! And then have their pick of the litter for what else they want to try and run around with. Volibear is open, but we have not seen it come out in the last game, and hopefully is a sign of things to come. As Burning Core eyeing up the Senna, looking at other possibilities. It will be the Senna locked in, and I do like Senna as if you are going to blind an 80 carry, and there is the Galio as well. I do like Senna if you are going to blind an 80 carry. It somewhat opens you up to being low damage, but there's plenty of damaging or high damage options still available to Burning Core. With Karthus Jungle also swinging back into the meta, you do have that to kind of fall back on. But Senna herself kind of has different options where you can go the slightly more tanky build, you can go the fasting build, you can go into lethality if you're looking for that sort of thing. So Senna offers quite a bit in that department of her individual utility, and I think that's something that we might be seeing grow in popularity in the LJL, is sort of a lot of these picks that have not lane flexibility, but overall flexibility in their build path or in how they fit into your comp. But with V3 Esports locking themselves in Kalista and LeBlanc, it smells like some sinning coming back from V3 Esports. And you have the luxury of being able to experiment with some Sinner-style comps here. So I don't mind this coming out from V3 Esports, as Yu-Gi-Oh's going to lock in the Kha'Zix for his jungler. We will see the return of the Ka. And I do like once taking advantage of the Kha'Zix while we can. Kha'Zix is getting slightly nerfed. He's getting the buff that he received kind of halved coming into the next patch, so you might as well be using it now while you're keeping your other jungle picks saved up for later on down the line. And you can see, even with V3 Esports banning out Graves, there almost feels like no amount of bans you can give over to Burning Core that will really kind of keep once down. While Burning Core locking down the Ornn and the Wukong, removing that dive threat from a V3 is a very fair way to go about things. Wukong doesn't posture himself as a very early game focused champ like Kalista or LeBlanc, but when you need something to just kind of break up the rabble and really open up the game for Kalista and LeBlanc to get in and start doing the damage they need to, Wukong, a great pick, now going to be removed from the side of Burning Core. or excuse me, from the side of V3 Esports. Well, Burning Core. Senna Yumi would certainly be an interesting one. It would be a fairly susceptible lane, but they will be locking in the Braum instead, and I do like the Braum here. I think this is a great pick as you're looking down the barrel of a Kalista LeBlanc. You're going to want something that can posture defensively. Glacial Fissure does wonders to countering Kalista, as she is super susceptible to any ability that inhibits her move speed. While V3 have a couple of options left on the table, Lee Sin going to be returning. It's been a couple games since we've seen Lee Sin showing back up into the meta. Is somewhat susceptible to the jungle matchup in isolation, as Kha'Zix is somebody who always benefits a little bit from being in isolation with you, but we'll see if he's able to make plays around the map despite that. And with the Karma being locked in here, I like this from V3 Esports. Gives you flex opportunities to move that up to the top side and keep Set in the support position, or just run the Karma in the bot lane with Kalista. Usually a fairly safe option, even if you are sending the Kalista ultimate to, you know, just chuck your Karma into the backline. She has enough shields and slows, and then even then, if you're that close, it's okay if you are Karma to shield yourself and then tether on, but it looks like it will be Karma heading up to the top side into the matchup against Ray, as he picks up the Vladimir for the top side. And I sort of like the comp that Burning Core has here. Scales fairly decently. You have a lot of defensive options to get around V3 Esports' early aggression. And if you're able to weather the storm, Vladimir coming online in the later ends of the games is really going to be a lot of your threat, while Senna and Kha'Zix will be bringing in enough of an AD threat that you need to or that you'll at least need to put some priority on armor. So I really like the comp that Burning Core kind of drafted themselves into. If I had to give a sort of post-draft prediction, I really want to hand it to Burning Core, as it feels like ever since middle of the split when they were 4-4, Burning Core has really started stepping things up. In the Super Week, most notably, I felt like Burning Core had some really close games. They were really kind of leveling up their game, and it felt like in the prior split during spring, when junglers were a little bit less carry oriented, Once was really struggling, and it was very difficult for him to posture as a carry when there was just not enough champions in the jungle that had that ability. But then since the rise of things like Nidalee jungle, now we have a couple assassins, Karthus jungle returning to the meta, and Echo kind of starting to find his home, I feel like Once has really started to come alive here. And even though Yu-Gi-Oh is a rookie, I feel like he plays weak laners that can posture through the rest of the game very well. And honestly, out of all of the rookies, I've really enjoyed Yu-Gi-Oh's performance overall. I think he has just had a very solid split. I worry for his flexibility going forward, which is one of the things that I think will definitely start to be stressed in best of 5 scenarios, which is kind of why I like that V3 Esports is forcing Ace to play these carry-oriented roles. This is V3 Esports thinking a couple games down the line where, okay, we have playoffs coming up, we need to start being able to research what our mid laner is capable of. You know he has a Zoe, you know he has a Galio, and you know he has sort of supportive mid laners in his repertoire. What else can we get out of Ace? Where can we make him a threat? And this is going to be one of the games that kind of demonstrates that it's a little bit hard for LeBlanc to get value on a Galio due to the extra magic resist and the sort of anti-mage tendencies of a Galio in the mid lane, so possibly not the best matchup for him. But it is a position that V3 decided to pick themselves into, and it is a melee into ranged matchup. There are things that you can pull off as LeBlanc in this matchup. still will remain to be seen for the most part. As I think this definitely can be done by Burning Core, and when you're looking at this stat screen in front of us here, the CSD at 15 being down for Burning Core is not exactly a bad sight if we're thinking about, especially these comps that we've drafted themselves into. V3, you expect them to be winning early with this comp. It will really come down to, can V3 sin hard enough to roll through this game? Or is Burning Core going to be able to dodge out on a lot of this to be able to make this happen here?
この数字が高いというのがバーニングコアの一つ特徴なのかなというふうに感じましたね。補足をするとワンス選手は全チームのジャングラーの中で一番 CS
And I definitely think also while we are talking about Burning Core versus V3 Esports in sort of a lot of the player matchups, we'll hold that thought until we get right into the game.
LJL 2020. Brought to you by the LJL official drink partner. Game on.
始まりました LJL2020 サマースプリットウィーク7ゲーム6 V3 スポーツ vs バーニングコアスタートです。おっと
Alright, as we're starting things off here, it looks like Boogie immediately noticed that he forgot to buy his jungle items. Did flash his old Flash Wolves icon. A little bit of a history lesson for those that know Boogie from his older days, but one thing I do like a lot about the runes coming out here, and just when you're talking about how this game is going to progress, is Senna, of course, opting in for the Glacial Augment means we're likely going to be seeing the little bit more damage-oriented Senna and not going to be giving over farm to the Braum. But also, once taking the Electrocute, I definitely think is going to be a huge difference maker in this kind of a game. Excuse me. But we'll see V3 Esports walking in. It's going to be a little bit of a ward trade coming out here, and they do spot him out, so Boogie should be able to get this fairly uncontested. And they will kind of split the map vertically based off of this. And right now, V3 Esports are the favored ones, and I have to understand that sentiment after V3's just insanely dominant performance so far this split. And a ward on the chickens will give enough information over to Burning Core that they know where Boogie is going. And it looks like they're going to know where Once is as well, as Boogie's going to transfer immediately over to his red buff. This is a little bit risky from Boogie to take this aggressive pathing when you know that Once is on this side of the map. With a jungler that will definitely try to dish out the damage in isolation if he gets it, it's a little bit worrying to be on this side of the map, as Once is going to just take a back here. I was going to say he has opportunity to jump over the wall at him, but was definitely a riskier play. This will get him to 3 fairly quickly, as he did steal away the Krug camp. He can also get back over to reset his chickens and wait for the trade back when it comes to his 4 through 6 spawns. So for now, it looks like a fairly neutral lanes all the way across. Small CS advantages already arising for V3 Esports in most of their lanes, but we'll see what happens here. Boogie's going to face check onto Once here. He has level 3 advantage, so he can kind of force him off. Even with the isolation bonus that Once has, he can't exactly scrap with him. He's going to flash over the wall here as Paz is making the call to go forward, so Boogie's going to burn his flash as well. I don't think it'll be enough to knock him down, but with the tether coming in, that will Beautiful play from Paz. He commits the flash over to get in tether range, as well as having the shield speed boost to stay right on top of Once. That's going to be in a first blood over to Boogie, and that will give him a lot of early pressure. After that flash, he's going to lose his Krugs, should lose both Crabs in result to it. And that's the kind of ball rolling that you want to see from V3 Esports. As the vision cone is going to spawn out once there. Was somewhat of an interesting call for Once to kind of take the pathing that he did, but we'll watch how this ran out one more time. I believe Once leveled up W instead of E, and that's why he was forced to burn his flash right away. He didn't want to take the turn. As you could see, LeBlanc was already in Rome, and without Galio having the hero's entrance, there's not a whole lot he can really offer. Even if he were to get in and get a taunt on both of them, he likely just ends up being the sacrificial lamb in that scenario. But we'll see what Boogie can do with that kind of an advantage. But while we're looking at the jungle routes here, I definitely think this was just sort of Once not going buff to buff. I think he possibly was trying to make a read that Boogie would have just split the map evenly once he saw him on his chickens, but when Boogie made the aggressive call to just do the big chicken of Burning Core side and then run immediately to his other buff, you saw him running across the mid lane, and Once kind of got a little bit gun shy, ran away from it, and then found himself in a position that he didn't know how to quite get to level 3. While Boogie was just getting the better end of that early pathing due to, honestly, just an aggressive call that paid off. But with the comp that V3 have, aggression is the name of the game. So Ward's going to go down here. I don't know if Once saw that ward from where he was sitting. I don't know if the little wall there spotted him out, but Boogie's going to come over onto the Krugs here. Once and Ray have good positioning. Once is going to be the one to start this off, but Ace is running around here. Has the second distortion on deck if Boogie wants to just really fight him out and just kind of force him away from this Krug camp, even on the respawn, holding on to this 2-level advantage. Boogie's looking to get real aggressive around his camps, and that's never the feeling you want to be going through if you are Once in this game. You're supposed to be the assassin. You're the one who's supposed to make Boogie scared if he finds you in isolation, but as it stands right now, with a little help from his friends, Boogie's being able to posture very aggressively onto Once, and right now, after that exchange, even if Boogie doesn't get a whole lot other than a couple Krugs stolen over, with the way that the Scuttle Crab is spawning on the bot side, right in time with the Dragon coming up, and most of Burning Core's blue side up, this is great for Boogie to be able to repeat aggression into their jungle, just on the side of the map around an objective. Makes it a little bit riskier if you get caught, but the payoff is in dividends. If you can steal away camps from this side, making it that much worse for Once to try and show up here, and being able to convert that immediately into a first Drake. As Boogie, I think, should be hitting level 6 off of this Gromp. It depends on if this was a 4 through 6 spawn. Yeah, I don't think it was, but he's not quite gonna be 6 yet. Should be fairly close, and Scuttle might actually give it to him in that regard, but as it stands right now, about a 20 CS lead onto him. Once is just going to be forced to kind of play a bit of the PvE game modes while he looks to try and catch up to Boogie. But this is exactly what you need to do if you are V3 Esports. You have the Sinner comp. You're the one who needs to be leading the dance here. And once again, you can just see Boogie crossing over the mid lane right now. He is very aggressive onto Once right now, retaining this 2-level advantage. And although it was a fake out, it was enough to force Once back and away from that side. He's not going to be able to steal away any camps. And that should allow Paz to put a ward down on the Rift Herald here, so Burning Core shouldn't be able to contest this objective. Or at least V3 are going to make it rather difficult for him to do just that. And the CS leads in all lanes is just continuing to grow. About a 30 CS lead in the top lane, 20 CS in the bot lane. Mid lane has been evening it up, and that really speaks volumes to Yu-Gi-Oh's familiarity on the Galio. I believe it's something like 75% of his games in the past 3 weeks have all been on Galio. He's had a very high success rate and honestly just play rate overall on Galio. So, good to see him on something that he's familiar with, that he can keep pace with, especially when a lot of his other lanes are starting to kind of not fall apart, but are really going to fall behind early on while you're weathering this V3 storm. While Boogie is going to be getting the Rift Herald up. This is a nice time for once to start leveraging back a little bit of gold advantage and level advantage. He should be able to at least catch up one level in the time it took for Boogie to get those two objectives. The problem is that the gold lead is really what's sticking here, and a 2k gold lead by 10 minutes is huge for V3. And we'll see how Burning Core will kind of continue through this one. They'll have a bit to kind of work with. Spoogie's going to be securing the second, or the, I believe this is the fourth Rift Scuttler here. I think he has gotten all four of them so far, which is just such a hard position to come back from, and the vision control as well from V3 onto this side of the map means Spoogie is just welcoming any challengers, even moving up that vision line. There are 3 pink wards on the blue side of Burning, or on the red side, excuse me, of Burning Core here. They are going to be able to secure that Drake. Once is pinging it like he might know, and the sweeper's going to confirm his suspicions. Well, Boogie doesn't quite know he's there yet. He's going to be hanging around here waiting, but they might have a dive opportunity. Ray's just going very low. I did not realize how much he was getting poked out, and there's a teleport coming in from Yu-Gi-Oh! He will be able to deter the play for now. Can he get the taunt off onto Boogie? He can, but no immediate capitalization as Ace is looking just to knock down the turret. And we'll see if they're going to be able to find a play in the wake of it. Boogie has a kick opportunity. Is he going to go for it? But the rest of the team backing off. He's going to stick away from it. That's just going to be a first turret before 12 minutes. V3 Esports with a just honestly impressive early advantages, and this is why I commonly talk about how strong Boogie is in terms of pathing. And while Once is a very proficient jungler, and a couple unfortunate steps, you can see what it means at 2 junglers of this level when you have those kinds of missteps. As the room for Once to try and bounce back is a little bit strict, as he's gonna just jump right over onto Once here. That's a lot of damage. The isolation damage coming in huge here. Once is just going to one-shot him. Effectively, the full combo coming through is now Paz is in a little bit of a worse for wear position. He's kind of committing for this one, but Ace is gonna come over to help him finish it off and might be able to escape in the end, but he knows he has a Braum rotating up. Ace is kind of just going to be forced into the wrong side of the jungle. Bounces over. Yu-Gi-Oh should just have another spell to knock him down. There's nowhere Ace can really go. He flashes away into the turret range. And that was just sort of Boogie possibly overestimating himself a little bit. He hasn't bought any armor items yet, and the amount of isolation damage coming out here. Boogie didn't opt immediately to kick him away, and once the invisibility came through, Once was just able to track with him the entire way. And this was just sort of an interesting play from Paz to kind of commit to. Where in isolation, sure, you can probably win that 1v1, but even then, you're full support Karma. You're not a tank Karma. You can't deal with the rest of the members collapsing upon you like that. But V3 should be able to get this next Drake up here, and as they grab that one up, we will be seeing what soul is on the menu, and it will be a good one for V3 Esports. This Infernal Soul is going to be coming up. Perfect soul for a Sinner comp like V3 Esports is. But a good recognition from once there. You won the fight already, but you're not going to have isolation bonus from the Wolves, so jumps away, respects Boogie a bit, and even after that kill, Boogie still a 3-level advantage on once right now. Look at all of the camps he has up, but he doesn't care. He's saying once's camps are the ones that I'm really concerning myself with. And right now, this is just looking like V3 Esports with just a very dominant showing. Even if that play didn't quite go the way you wanted it to, the just gold advantages across all lanes is really what's starting to stack up against Burning Core here. And it's not impossible to overcome, especially if this game starts to go too long. The sort of downside for Burning Core here is you have a 5k gold disadvantage at 15, but you also have Infernal Soul, which will help V3's comp kind of continue to scale the damage that they have going later through this game. As well as Pause buying support items means he can kind of also help accelerate Archer on this Callista later throughout the game by giving him the extra bonuses from those support items. So this is V3 Esports playing their comp to a T, and Burning Core are the ones thinking for an opportunity here. V3 are backing away for now, and smartly so. There's no need to really walk over here. Rift Herald is your objective, but a little bit suspicious about the members of Burning Core that just don't seem to be showing up on the map anywhere. As Reyna now here, he can be the one to face check over, as Ace is going to fly over the wall here, look for a root. He will get taunted up, but will Boogie and the rest of V3 have an opportunity? The beautiful Senna W actually stops Boogie's combo. That was a huge play, as now Eugio's going to force Boogie away. The ultimate from Archer is going to be pulling out his support, but it's a 1-for-1 so far. Vladimir's going to find 2 after the Hemo play goes off, as Kallista's going to find 2 as well. Archer looking to kite this one out as best he can, but the slow from Yuhi, it might be enough. Doesn't have a Q to save his top laner, as V3 Esports are looking to try and clear this one up. If Ace has E, he can lock Yuhi up, but for right now, it looks like he should be able to kite this one through. Proud's the one who's going to eat that E, gets rooted up, but it has time to go golden. Callista going a little bit too far forward, ends up in Yuhi's face, and that's going to be another kill given over to Burning Core here. Going even in the end there as a bit of a scrambly fight on all sides. Swans is looking to find his play onto Pause here, flashes forward. The W misses though, as he's not going to be able to get the follow-up. Will force out the flash from Pause. Unfortunately, had that W hit, I think he might have been able to knock him down there, but Pause smartly flashing away, and we'll watch this fight one more time and try to make sense of it all. So this W from Yuhi was really what set this play off, as the W flies in, it lands onto Reyna, and right when Boogie's going for a kick opportunity, he gets rooted, and the follow-up from Burning Core looks good to start things off. The Hemoplague finds a decent amount of members when Ray Farkey comes in, flashing forward, gets 4 members with that one. But Pause and Ace just do such a good job of just trying to kite this one out. The unfortunate part is they kind of get separated from Archer here, and then this chase is what V3 Esports kind of did themselves in on, as it looks so good, it gets so close, but in the end, Ace just does not have quite enough damage and to finish them off, and the rest of V3 does not have enough HP to follow him up, so will end even in the kill count, but for V3 Esports, the gold differential still in their favor for now, as they're going to spawn this Rift Herald up into the mid lane. Won't need the charge on the first turret, but will give them extra pressure on that second one as they can back away to the Infernal Drake if they so choose. I think the question at hand for Burning Core is, are you willing to fight for this Infernal Drake? As the infographic's a little bit messed up here, but we'll see how the fight goes. While V3 Esports, they should be able to rend this one out. They'll pull that out and they'll knock down the Infernal Drake. Will they find a fight onto the members of Burning Core now that the incentive to fight at all is gone for them? It's not look like V3 are going to be able to find a play here, as we will just kind of reset to neutral ground. Boogie wandering up is just going to go get the Scuttle Crab for himself. And the rest of Burning Core going to try to siege up this mid lane if they can. Reyna not going to take that Hex Slash forward. And understandably so, but will get rooted up once again as Boogie's finding himself a little bit of a scrap with once on the other end of things. Gets him very low, but already used a Dragon's Rage, so following that Sonic Wave in is just to bait out the ultimate from Galio. He's going to find a taunt onto Ace in the mid lane, but right now Burning Core are forced to retreat. They have a decent amount of heals to keep them topped off and healthy, and after Ray Farkey loses his life, that's a good enough pick for V3 Esports to turn this aggression on its head. Oh no! Boogie just, again, these Senna Ws are finding so much value, but the dunk comes in. They might be able to lock up Yu-Gi-Oh long enough as he goes golden, will only buy himself so much time. What a beautiful flash to get away from that one. Ace is alone trying to find once on the other end of the map here. And that's going to be Boogie finding that kill in the end. Right now, V3 are looking a little bit unstoppable as they're about to hit a 7k gold lead for themselves. I'm a little bit worried for V3 Esports as a couple of these Senna Ws have been kind of messing up the lines of V3 Esports. Right there, we saw Boogie get hit by a W, or get hit by the Senna W. He tried to dash to his friends for safety, and he actually ended up rooting Reyna out of his Hex Flash. But with the fights still somewhat favoring V3 Esports, or at least going even enough that you're not losing your advantage too heavily, they're kind of okay with the way things are going for now. They have about 3 minutes left until this Infernal Drake spawns up. And with a 7k gold lead, Burning Core are going to need to find some good plays if they want to pull themselves back into this one. As with a 3k gold, or excuse me, a 3-level disadvantage for once means a steal is asking a lot for once, as a smite is just going to be so much higher from Boogie, and then you're combining that with the rend from Archer. It is very difficult for Burning Core to think about going for a steal, so you need a fight win around that objective. And it's not undoable. You were able to pull off a nice fight with Ray Farkey finding the 4-man Hemoplague and Yu-Gi-Oh finding a couple good taunts there. It's just about replicating that scenario, and if V3 are going to find a way around it. But for now, looking at Ray in this bot lane here, he's going to get a little bit of harass from Paz in the bottom end of things here, but you don't have to be too worried if you are Ray Farkey. It is like we mentioned, a support build on the Karma. It's not the tank Karma build. Which, while that doesn't give you a whole lot of extra kill pressure, not having the Glacial Fist, or excuse me, the Frozen Fist, Glacial Fist, one of those two, will really make the difference there. But are V3 going to commit for this? As of right now, no members of Burning Core are rotating over, and once being forced to leap away and burn his flash. I don't know if they saw once use his smite, but we'll have a second one coming up soon. But that's just going to be Baron given over to V3 Esports. 45 seconds on the Infernal clock. This is enough pressure that Infernal Soul should be V3's. This is looking like V3 kind of finding the answer on their Sinner comp here. As Boogie's going to crest himself into a 4-level advantage. They have time to take a reset before Infernal Drake is up, while Boogie's going to go over there and to establish a little bit of extra vision, put down some wards, and keep checks on the members of Burning Core. Now, well, if you are Burning Core, contesting for this Drake might be a death sentence. As if you losing realistically any members here gets really difficult. The one thing that Burning Core's comp really lacks is lane clear. And you're already worrying about having to lane clear Baron-empowered minions. But when your waves are being deleted, we'll hold that thought. Archer's going to be the one who ends up getting face-checked here. The dunk from once gets pulled over the wall here. A beautiful ultimate from Kalista will pull him out of the way of the hero's entrance. Now, Yu-Gi-Oh! Kind of trying to find his way onto Reyna, but that's a very tanky support there that you're not going to be able to knock down so easily. Boogie's going to find the first kill onto once, while Yu-Gi-Oh's going to fall while trying to be the front line there. Burning Core are routed. They're going to look and see if they can go for more, but that's going to be Ace flashing forward. The root is going to be good onto Ray. Will they have finish off damage? The Q from Karma's not going to land in, but the face breaker will be enough to lock him down. He's going to be the next one to fall there. That's going to be an ace, hopefully, for V3 Esports. If they can find his way onto Proud, they will. The Rend comes through. And V3 Esports might just be able to end the game here. All the while, Boogie was taking down that Infernal Soul for them. And I don't think Once is going to have opportunity to make a miracle play here. I don't think they can end. They might be able to take down one of the turrets, but Once is trying to just see if he can kite any of the members away from their base for now. Boogie's going for a little bit of a kill, but cannot tank forever. While Paz should be able to find one last Q onto him. The Mantra Q going in, and right now V3 Esports are going to try and commit for this one. It's very low, but all the members of Burning Core have respawned. V3 are kind of throwing right now. A little bit over ambitious on the respawn timers, and now V3 are kind of routed. They should be able to knock down Paz as well here, as Ray's going to try to go all in onto him. Boogie has kick again to hopefully buy his teammates some space, but will end up only trading his own life for it in the end. In terms of shutdown gold, that's not a bad position to be in, but Paz is looking to 1v4 right now. He's trying to find his way forward. He's determined by these blinking HP bars. Not quite going to be able to finish those off in the end, but ultimately, so yes, V3 Esports, that was not exactly the call. The respawn timers are still a little bit too short for you to be able to quite end the game right there. I do like the look to try and commit for it, and you do get very close. But this is a time where V3 Esports greed out a little bit too much, and with Infernal Soul still being in their pocket, 10k gold lead, it still feels like a mistake that V3 can afford to make. The risky part for Burning Core here, or excuse me, the risky part for V3 is that was a lot of shutdown gold that just went over to Burning Core, and to the point of their AD is now caught up in items. Their mid laner is pretty much on par with items. Jungle is still a little bit behind, but the top lane is really what you're worried about, as Ray now has his second item and has already completed important parts of his Zhonya's. I don't think they're going to be able to finish him off there. Hemoplay going to give him a bit of healing back over, while V3 are trying to find their way forward. There's no Nexus turrets left, so V3 are going to try and find their way forward. Reyna kind of messing up the phase breaker there, not going to lock anyone up, but here comes Ray once again, using the pool as best he can. That's going to be the hero's entrance thrown down. There's no Hemoplague, but the Dawning Shadow comes in. V3 are still undeterred. They're trying to force their way in here, as Boogie continues to fish for an opportunity. That's going to be once going forward. Almost locks down Reyna, but is forced out into the ultimate. He has true stealth to try and get himself out. Flashes backwards. Ace is going very low and is forced away as well. They're getting a couple autos onto the Nexus now. Is Archer going to be able to finish this one off? He will! As V3, in the face of 5, managed to pull out the win there. That was a little bit of a scary game, and if I'm looking at V3 Esports, I gotta say, I love the confidence, but you're putting a little strain on my heartstrings for V3 Esports. They will come out on top in that game, though. And Burning Core will be dropping that one. Not a bad look overall if you are V3 Esports. You re-engage on the sort of Sinner comp that you were looking for. A lot of early aggression. And I really think that one of the things that ended up being a difference maker in this comp compared to the last one was Boogie playing Lee Sin instead of Kha'Zix, where he has a little bit more to offer his team instead of trying to be a carry that needs a bit more of that gold, but then also having in the top lane a Karma building support. You can even give the Lee Sin some of that gold over. It was just really the difference of you have one support on the side of the map that you're playing so heavily. And you don't have to worry about 3 carries all trying to get fed at the same time. That being said, V3 Esports with a nice win there over Burning Core. They will find themselves 12-2. Not like their first place position for the seeding was at all in contention, but we'll hand them a nice GG's in the end of that one. And honestly, still feeling good about their playoff chances. V3 going to be taking that one home. At the end of it all, though, we're going to be taking a quick break before we get into our Game 7 here. Up next, we have Axis taking on Hawks Gaming. And with Hawks Gaming coming up for their next 2 games to bat, they're the last of the teams that still need to decide where they're going to be falling in line, while Burning Core also has one more game as the last game of today to hopefully decide on all of our playoff seeding. If you guys are looking forward to watching that, don't go anywhere. I'll be back shortly for those after this break. If you guys are enjoying the stream, feel free to drop a follow. I'm Dr. No. I do all of the LJL English broadcasting for the summer split, and I will be doing playoffs as well. I will be doing, excuse me, I will be doing all playoff matches, any tiebreakers, and things of that nature. As well as I also do some more analytical content and plays of the week over on my YouTube channel. So if you guys are looking forward to watching those kinds of videos, or just looking for more LJL action, you can drop a follow here on my Twitch, and in my description below you can find my Twitter. Dropping a follow there will get you updates on all of the action as it comes to me. And any potential videos I will be dropping in the future. Either way, good stuff to V3 Esports for being able to pull that one out. And for Burning Core, you can hold your head, hopefully bounce back, hold your heads a bit high, as you still have one more game to be closing out this split with. As Hawks Gaming are going to be 2 games up next, and Axis with their last game of the split as well. So, like I mentioned, taking a quick break, gonna be muting myself, gonna go refill on water, turn my fan on for a little bit, stay hydrated if you guys are not already, and I will see you guys all again soon.
일단 전략이라보다는 그냥 좀 1패해서 스트레스 받아서 그 상대 그냥 정글한테 스트레스 풀고 싶었어요. 계속 쫓아다니면서.
戦略というよりも1戦目でちょっと今日うちのチーム負けてしまったので、そこでちょっとストレスを受けまして、個人的にそのジャングルを追いかけていくようなそんなプレーをしました。
ああ、なるほど。相手のジャングルに戦いに行ってやろうということですか。なるほど、面白いですね。さあ、そしてその、プレーオフに向けてというところで、まだまだその戦う対戦相手として今季非常にブギ選手、ワン選手、ブランク選手のその非常に攻撃的なジャングラー3名が目立っていたと思うんですが、その対戦相手のその2人の印象っていうのはブギ選手の中でどうですか？
플레이오프를 향한 얘기인데요. 이번 시즌 부기 선수랑 그리고 완스 선수, 블랭크 선수 이 세 명이 공격적인 정글러로서 너무 많이 눈에 띄었었거든요. 그래서 부기 선수가 봤을 때는 두 분, 완스 선수, 블랭크 선수의 인상이 어땠나요?
일단 블랭크 선수는 약간 갱킹보다 자기 성장을 우선으로 하는 것 같고,